This is Unit 5, Lesson 3, Video 2. We're still going to be solving systems with elimination, but this time the equations don't have the same number, so we're going to have to multiply. Okay, so sometimes you just have to multiply one equation. So if I look at my two equations, I first look to see if I do have the same number. 1x and 3x, those are not the same. Negative 5y and 6y, those are not the same. But I just have to multiply one equation, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 here. Because if I multiply the top one by a negative 3, then that will give me opposites, 3 and negative 3, and I can add after I do that. So as long as I multiply the whole equation by negative 3, then that's perfectly fine for me to do. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here. So that's negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 5y is positive 15y. Negative 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Now, I have the same number in opposite signs, 3 and negative 3, so I just have to add my two equations. I'm going to draw a line through this showing that I'm done with that one. I'm not using it anymore. So 3x and negative 3x cancels. 6 plus 15 is 21y. Negative 15 plus negative 27 is negative 42. So divide by 21, and I get y equals negative 2. Okay, just like in the previous video, you have to plug it into one of the originals, and it can even be this one that I've crossed out. And I'm plugging that in for y. So that's x minus 5 times 2 equals 9. So x minus 10 equals 9. And so add 10. X equals 19. So my solutions are 19 and negative 2. Okay. Yep. So I was just mentally plugging these back in here to check and see if they were right, and they are not. The negative 2 is correct, but 19 is not right because when I plugged the negative 2 back in, I forgot the negative. So it should be x plus 10. Then I should subtract. 9 minus 10 is negative 1. So it's always a good idea to check your answers. And we check by plugging them in. So I plug in negative 1 for x and negative 2 for y. Okay. So I see that I don't have the same number, so I don't have both 3s or both 8s here. And so I'm checking to see, is there something I can multiply 3 by to get 2 or 2 by to get 3? No. What about 8 to get 4 or 4 to get 8? All right, well, I just have to multiply 4 by 2, and that will give me a positive 8. And so I want a positive and a negative 8, so then I can add. So I'm going to distribute. So that's 4x plus 8y equals negative 4. And that's a little hard with your equation with this one in the middle, so I'm going to just rewrite this one down here. 3x minus 8y equals 22, just so they're right next to each other. All right, now that I have the same number opposite signs, I can add. So 7x, let's cancel, equals, and again, I messed up. So this should be negative 8. I will say that most of these come out as whole numbers, so if you don't get a whole number, then you know you probably did something wrong. Okay, so negative 8 plus 22 is 14. Well, we'll divide by 7. X equals 2. And now plug that back in for X. Subtract 6 from both sides. Divide by 8, so y is negative 2. So my solution is 2, negative 2, x then y. So like I've been talking about, and this is just to help me too, make sure I did it right, we can always plug these back in to check. So 3 times 2 minus 8 times negative 2. So I type that in. 6 and 16 gives me 22. Okay, so that one's good, because that's what it said it equaled. Okay, 2 times 2 plus 4 times negative 2. That's negative 4. Okay, so I know that my answer is correct. Okay, but sometimes you can't just multiply one. Sometimes you're going to have to multiply both equations. And this is actually a little bit easier than just multiplying one. It's a little longer, but it's a little less thinking. Okay, so there's nothing I can multiply 4 by to get 5 or 5 by to get 4. There's nothing I can multiply 3 by to get 8 or 8 by to get 3. So you can choose x or y in this case, and most of the time we just choose x. So what I have to do is I'm just switching their coefficients. I'm switching these two, and I'm not thinking about the sign right now. Just switch the 4 and the 5, because then on top you'll get negative 20, and on bottom you'll get negative 20. I like to have opposites, so since these signs are the same, I need to make these opposite. And it doesn't matter. You could have put the negative with a 5 or with a 4. Okay, so you're going to multiply both equations now. So that's negative 20x plus 15y equals $145. Okay, and now you'll do the second equation and line them up. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20x. Negative 4 times 8 is negative 32y. Negative 4 times 49 is negative 196. Okay, so the reason why I did that negative 4, so then I had opposites, so negative 20 and positive 20. So I can just add down. If you didn't do the negative 4 and you had negative 20 and negative 20, since the signs are the same, you would have to subtract. And I just think adding is easier. You're less likely to make mistakes. Okay, so the x's eliminate. Okay, 15y plus negative 32y is negative 17y. 145 plus negative 196 is negative 51. Divide by negative 17. Y equals 3. Okay, let's take that and plug it back in. It can be into your two equations that you made here. I just like to go back to the originals, because if you made a mistake in the equation, then when you plug 3 back in, that's going to be wrong as well. Okay, and I'm plugging it in for y because it was y equals. So I get negative 4x plus 9 equals 29. Subtract 9. Negative 4x equals 20. divide by negative 4, I get x equals negative 5. So my solution, I got to write it x then y, negative 5, positive 3. Okay. Same thing over here. I'm going to have to multiply both equations because there's not something I can multiply 4 by to get 7 or 7 by to get 4. I can't multiply 2 by something and get 3 or 3 by something to get 2. So I have to multiply both. So let's just switch the coefficients on the x. And since 4x and 7x have the same sign, I'm going to make one of these opposites. So then when I add, I can have opposite signs. So 28x plus 14y equals 98. And then I get negative 28x plus 12y equals 32. Okay, so my x's eliminate. 14y plus 12y is 26y. 98 plus 32 is 130. Divide both sides by 26. And you get 5. Okay, we want to plug that back in. This would work if you switched and did 3 and 2 as well. Sorry about that. So 4x plus 2 times 5 equals 14. So 4x plus 10 equals 14. Subtract 10. 4x equals 4. Divide by 4. And we get x equals 1. So writing this as x comma y would be 1 comma 5. Again, it's a great idea to plug these back in for x and y to check that you did them correctly. Okay, it's time to do Unit 5, Assignment 6.